And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of The Good Doctor Presents. This is ESO, the Empire State Original, Bruce, and I am here with the man of the hour, the one and only, the Good Doctor, Dillon Hines. What's going on, my friend?
Doing all right. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I keep seeing your name pop up all over this week with something called the Wrestling Classic 5.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate? First of all, what is the Wrestling Classic?
Wrestling Classic is a wrestling fan convention located in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's promoted by Zombie Hideout and Captain Squirm.
Zombie Hideout. Well, glad you brought that up because I want to read to you something that I found online from them. Let's bring that up. So Zombie Hideout wrote, "Unfortunately, we have made a decision to move on from one of our vendors for the Wrestling Classic this year. I know some of you will be disappointed, but unfortunately, with Dillon Hines' lack of professionalism and behind-the-scenes antics, which continuously cause uncertainty, it is not just something we can deal with while trying to put on a quality event for all of you. For the Classic, we only want the best, and sadly, this was a move we needed to make happen. For refunds, please reach out to Dillon, as well as for his appearance with Kurt Angle in January. We are pulling that event as well. Please reach out to him for those refunds. Believe us, we hate doing this, but it had to be done. Thank you for understanding." Dillon, what's this about?
So I was going to do their event, and I decided this past week I would be pulling out. And the reason why I did their event in March, March 22nd past year, I believe it was. And when I did their event, it was very low attendance. I had Rob Van Dam at the event and lost $4,000. Captain came to me, begged me to do his November edition of it. And with begging me to do the November edition of it, at first I turned him down. Then he called again, and he was very persistent about it. And I finally said, you know what? The attendance last time may have been affected by the weather, so, maybe I'll do it. Well, in August, I had contacted Captain and said, "Hey, Captain, how many tickets have you sold?" He said 100. Then I contacted him the other day and asked him, I said, "Hey, Captain," and this was in October, so 2 months later after the fact. "Captain, how many tickets have you sold?" 100. So, as a promoter, it's hard to believe that there's not a ticket change, like an increase of tickets that have been sold, for an event, especially we're getting closer to it, that the number would stick to just being 100, So
That seems a little low.
Right.
I kind of would have expected something with the Wrestling Classic, just based on the people you were bringing alone. 100 tickets pre-sold is nothing.
Right.
But
And I looked at my pre-sales. I only had $300 come in for pre-sale. Now, there were some remarks I saw on that post where somebody said that I was charging way too much. Here's the thing. Nowadays, I have to charge a certain amount for people to try to get my money back. So if a guy's $100 combo, it's a reason because I usually go off of if I can sell 200 of this guy's meet and greet, maybe I'll be able to profit. If it's like a $20,000 guy, I try to go off of that math, So usually I go with $200. I usually go with 200 meet and greet, and then it's like 50 times 200 or 30 times 200 or whatever, Usually try to get, if it's a good quality guest, I usually expect about 200 people to try to meet that guest.
And then what are the expenses out of that? Obviously, you're probably paying for them to get there, their hotels, their meals.
Right.
And that's also just coming out of your portion, too.
Right. So with them only having 100 people, here's a fact that I haven't got to bring up yet on the internet, and I'd like to bring up now. Last year, for the March edition, a month beforehand, he had told me he had sold 275 tickets. I asked him the week of, I said, hey, Nick, I said, what's the ticket? How many people are you expecting, right? He said, I don't know how many people will be there, but we have 175 tickets sold. And I said, you have 175 tickets sold last month. You told me you had 275. He said, no. He said, that's what I'm hoping we end up getting, 275 people there. So with me being lied to last time about that, and $300 pre-sale coming in this time, I had a $20,000 budget I was working on. I'm not going to go in there with a $20,000 budget and lose my ass.
So
because
why don't you let everybody?
I don't know how to promote.
Why don't you let everybody know who you were bringing? Because some of the fans out there might not know.
I was going to bring JBL, Gerald Briscoe, Shelton Benjamin, Scott Steiner, Victoria, Jimmy Valiant, and I believe I named all of them. So it was JBL, Gerald Briscoe, Shelton Benjamin, Jimmy Valiant, Scott Steiner, and Victoria. Yep, 6 guests.
Yeah, that's a pretty big chunk of the people going. I mean, there's that's
mind you, a couple of those guests were doing a split deal, or whatever. So on the merchandise and everything, instead of coming in for a full flat fee, they were doing like a split deal. There's many talents out there that are doing percentage deals now. So with that, I informed them. I said, this guy said there's only 100 tickets sold. A couple of those talents, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a couple of the talents that I informed that of. And they simply said that they didn't want to attend. And the promoter ended up reaching out to them himself, and they told him, we're not interested. So you can't force people to come to an event.
So you mentioned the other promoter of this event, Captain's Corner. Captain's Corner also had put up a little bit of a response for you. So let's take a look at that. TWC5 update. As you may have seen on my partner Zombie Hideout's post, Big Time Collectibles is no longer allowed at the Wrestling Classic 5 on 11/16, or any inclinations going forward. Unfortunately,
okay. So I was speaking to someone. I heard it through the grapevine that Nick Maskey, who runs Captain's Corner, who is a partner, and I put quotation marks around partner, told Bill, who runs Zombie Hideout, that, hey, man, if the money don't come in the door that day, I don't got any money. I hope you got enough money to cover this event. And Bill's response to that was, there will not be a Wrestling Classic 6. There is no event next year. So you banned me for your last event. Good. But here's the thing. Hard to ban someone when they already made the decision to not go to the event. I already made that decision. I was already working forward on relocating a talent and everything else. So ban me all you want, but I wasn't coming. I had decided already that I was not going to be attending the event.
All right, yeah. So this says, and unfortunately, that means that JBL, Scott Steiner, Victoria, Shelton Benjamin, and Jerry Briscoe will no longer be in attendance for this year's TWC5 event next month. We've never been the type to air private business publicly, but with these circumstances, we'll give some additional context. Dillon Hines runs Big Time Collectibles. Sadly,
Right.
the only thing big time about him is his ability to lie, mistreat, and misrepresent talent, fans, and other promotions in the business.
Okay. So, Captain's Corner wants to say this about me. Well, Captain, I got to say this about you. Every time there's a convention in an area, your ass attends, but not as a vendor. Your ass attends undercutting the vendors, going directly to the talent, making a deal yourself to do one of your little happy hours where you act like a mark and you drink your beer and you act like you're whatever. Sitting there with the talent. Great job. You're a mark. We get it. Fuck you. Continuing on with this. So he wanted to say I was a liar. I mistreat people. Nah. Here's how this business is. This business is pretty much fuck or get fucked, you know? So you got fucked, Captain. But here's the reason you got fucked. I've talked to people who live in Springfield, right? Why is my ass going to spend $20,000 to invest in your event when you have not even put a poster up for your event? There's no promotional material for your event. Now, there might be a banner or something hanging up at the building or a banner or something hanging up at Zombie Hideout. Is there? I don't know. But that's not really promoted because you'd have to drive by those locations to actually know, that event's going on. So, continue.
All right. The customer feedback to Dillon at the last TWC, which was his first and last, was perhaps the only negative feedback of the entire show. So much
Okay. I'll interrupt on that one. There was 2 customers there, and I saw one of them, Jason Thurman or whatever the hell his name is, commented on there. Jason had made a deal for a bulk deal, right? Came up, he said, I got X amount of pieces. Okay. When he had X amount of pieces, he got it all signed by Rob Van Dam, and I think he got a couple signed by Sabu. I'm not certain. It was 6 months ago. No, 7 months ago now. But that's besides the point. Captain's Corner's event. So Jason Thurman went and had his pieces signed. Came back an hour later. Hey, I found another piece. Okay, I'll let it slide. I figured, maybe he didn't have all of the pieces. He did this 2 other times, and finally on the 3rd time, I said, you know what? There's plenty of memorabilia vendors here at this event just selling merchandise, right, Bruce? So, likelihood is this motherfucker, and you are a motherfucker for trying to fuck me. That's why I kicked you out of my table area. You were trying to fuck. You got all your pieces signed, and then because he wasn't paying for these additional pieces, every time he came up, he was acting like he had already paid for it, right? So on this 3rd time, even the talent had said something. This guy had already been up here 4 times. They were surprised. If you're going to do a bulk deal, shouldn't you have your shit together? Tell me if I'm wrong, Bruce.
No, absolutely. I can tell you a funny story of another promoter. Where I was in the room when they were asking talent to sign autographs for the Monty and the Pharaoh show. And the guy was questioning. He's like, "Why is there? You guys have this many, fans that want autographs, or this many? Oh no, this many advertisers that you need this many signed?" And I was like, "Yeah, we have. There's a lot of advertisers for the channel." Well, the promoter ends up taking the autographs, leaves the room, comes back in about 10 minutes later, and hands me a very small portion of the ones that he had signed to give to Mike. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on, that's a little shady." So.
All right, so here we call shady promoters out. Who's a promoter?
I don't. I'm not saying names because he's now. I'm not going to say a friend of mine, but an acquaintance that I have to deal with pretty often. We'll talk off the air. I'm sure you can figure out who it is, though.
Eric Sims.
I'm not saying any names.
It seems like an Eric Sims deal.
The shoe fits, but but anyway. So let's move on this. So
he got this bulk deal, right? This guy. I'm already losing my ass at the event. I can tell that everybody that was there in the building, we had already gotten them, and a couple people, that came up again because they went and bought a piece from one of those merchandise memorabilia vendors, So they said, "Hey, I just bought this action figure. Can I get So they brought a photo op earlier, right? For example, right? Well, they bought the figure, so they would say, "Hey, can I get the combo deal?" And I said, "Sure, no problem. You had already purchased that thing earlier, so I allowed them to do that." The only other person that I had an issue with that was a customer, there was a kid and his family who came up, right? They said, "Hey, we can't pay the $100 to meet RVD because for RVD, I'm charging $100 because of how his price is and everything. I would have to structure it at $100 times $200 or times 200 customers to actually make a profit." Of course, there wasn't 200 customers there, so I lost my ass. In general, I believe probably 60 people there, to be honest with you. I don't think there was more than 100. So, continuing on that one, the event was a shit show. So, this customer was going and trying to get a deal. And I said, okay. They pulled out a lot of cash that could choke a horse. And I was seeing hundreds and 20s and 50s. And, it wasn't like dollars, like big wad of just George Washington dollar bills, This was 20s and 50s and hundreds, right? And I said, hold on a second. I looked at his parents and I said, your child just told a lie. I said, yeah. I said, guess what? He wanted to meet RVD today? And they said, yeah. I said, he's not meeting through me. I said, his money's no good here. I said, please walk away from my table. And they got kicked out from my table area. So they had an issue with it. Fuck them.
I'm assuming that's what this next line of this is about. It says, at least a handful of fans refused to make any purchases from RVD or Sabu based solely on the way Dillon was acting.
One person walked away because they saw the interaction with that family and said, oh, since y'all are going to be this way. And actually, it was not a confrontation with me. It was a confrontation with my father, who was also at the event. He was partnered with me on this event. And he told him, all right, well, you don't have to buy anything either.
So
we're already losing our ass, so,
So let me just put this into perspective.
And the person that we shoot away from the table, that refused to buy, that we refused to sell to them simply because they were acting like a Karen.
So you're telling me this wrestling classic where you've got Sabu and RVD, that there were only 60 people in attendance?
I only brought $60, or I only brought $6,000 in on RVD. So yeah, I would say there was only 60 attendance because it seemed like everybody that was there had RVD.
Yeah, because he's a huge draw no matter where he goes. I'm just surprised that name alone didn't bring in hundreds and hundreds of people. And it's not like Sabu makes a million appearances anymore. He's pretty selective on when he goes out. So that's
say
crazy.
this. My father also went down to their Florida deal, right? They were doing him and Barry Rose, which Barry Rose is another name in itself. Wanted to post something about me. Dillon Hines strikes again. Barry, you ought to be minding more on keeping your wife. I heard that she got a divorce from you and everything. You ought to keep more on keeping your wife than talking about Dillon Hines. But issue there. Again, there was probably 30 people there in attendance for that GrappleCon or Grapple, whatever they wanted to call it, Grapple Fest, or yeah. So Well, Captain does, and he's going to doing this Portland deal. If anybody's partnered with him on his Portland deal, get out now. It's a disaster. Don't be a part of it. I was telling somebody yesterday that's bringing in a talent there. I said, hey, man, beware. I just canceled out of his Springfield deal because they were putting posters up there. How are you going to promote an event across the country if you're not even promoting an event that you're live near, you know? So with that information, if you're doing that Portland deal, if you're doing that, if they do another Florida deal, I'm not sure if they've announced one or not. Be careful. You're probably gonna lose your ass on it.
All right. So then let's go on a little bit further. It says, against our better judgment, we decided to allow him to participate at TWC5 next month.
Okay. You called me and 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 called me until I finally said, you know what, I'll do it. Just because I was sick and tired of getting the calls from you. And then every month up after the fact, I said, can I not do your event? Can I not do it? Because I didn't want to do it. Didn't want to at the beginning. Didn't want to. And not one point did I say, you know what? I want to do this event. Other than when I said, sure, I'll do it. Just because I wanted you to leave me the hell alone. You begged me to do your event. Just because you knew that Kevin Marston wasn't going to do your event, other vendors weren't going to do your event this time. You begged me. Sat there and begged, got on your hands and knees pretty much and begged through the phone, can you please do my event? And against my better judgment, I said, all right, whatever, because I was tired of you calling me every day and begging me to do it. Got to the point where I wanted to block you on the phone.
All right. So he goes on. Since then, it's been an absolute roller coaster dealing with this young man.
Damn right it's been a roller coaster because I beg you every damn week, can I not do your event? Can we not do it?
And his inability to control his emotions, properly communicate, or be fully transparent.
I thought I was fully transparent every damn week when I said, I don't want to do your event. 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 Thought I was fully transparent. I don't know how more transparent you could be. Bruce, tell me if that's not transparent enough. Me telling you I don't want to do this event.
So Dillon, you want to do the event?
Hell no. Didn't want to at the beginning. Didn't want to leading up to me canceling out of it. Never did.
Okay, so let me take it. You're going to do the event then.
Fuck. Fuck. I tell you.
Okay, about the event.
He's an annoying motherfucker. That's what the captain is. He ain't a captain of the military or a captain of a ship. He's a captain of annoying the hell out of people. Captain fucking annoying.
Nice.
Hot. So let's continue on with this. You wanted to say I have an emotional issue? Every time I called him and wanted to cancel out his event, I was pulling my hair out that I was doing it. Because I'm surprised I'm not bald how many times I was pulling my hair out saying, why the hell am I doing this fucking event after I lost $4,000 at the last one?
Over the last few months. Okay. Over the last
emotional. He wants to get into emotional. I'm not a very emotional person until I deal with bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. I finally say, you know what? All right. And then what was the other part? I think we went on the emotional part. We went on the other part. What was the middle part about it?
Properly communicate or be fully transparent.
That's the one I wanted to really talk about, right? I'd reach out to him to talk to him about the event, right? I'm very easy to get a hold of. Bruce, I'll ask you a question, right? When you call me, right, 90% of the time, I'll answer the phone, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Unless I'm in a movie or something. Like last night, Will Trotter, who does my graphic design, I was trying to talk to him earlier in the day. He ended up calling me, and I was at a movie, so, I can't answer the phone when I'm at a movie theater. That's besides the point. Captain, every time he called me, I answered his phone. There was never a day that, I didn't answer his phone. But He's the issue with the communication issues because I'd contact him sometimes, and it'd come a week later, still no word for it from him. I'd have to reach out to him again. What the hell? You're promoting an event. I figured you'd be in contact with your vendors.
I would think so. And try to get more. You want that thing to be the biggest thing out there. And honestly, their promotion sucks, but that's a whole.
And honestly, I would want to be in contact with the guy bringing in my headliners because honestly, now I'd get a ticket back if I was a fan going to that event. I'd try to get my admission back because who do they have?
Let's
Who's
see.
their headliner? Davon Dudley's been there 5 times, so I'll have my headliner.
Jerry Lawler.
Okay, Jerry Lawler. Yeah.
I mean,
he's good. He's good.
Try to see who else. Let's see.
They got Jim Ross also. So,
yeah, Ron Simmons.
That guy, the amount of money he was going to pay on Ron Simmons for the JBL thing, he ought to be calling me up and giving me a Christmas call and a birthday call every year because I saved him a bunch of money.
Nice. So let's see. Let's move on from there. Unless you got more on the communication issues.
Bill, his partner, he was also hard to communicate with sometimes.
So
that's that.
Okay. So over the last few months, he has canceled and added talent, a lot of which.
Hold on. Damn right I canceled. I canceled every damn week. You are damn right I canceled. Try getting out of the damn thing. Begged you to let me out. I said, I'm only doing this because you begged me to do it. Can I please not do your event? You are damn right. And the only talent that got canceled for that event that was beyond my control was Hacksaw Jim Duggan because he was booked at a Comic-Con or something that was within a radius. They had like a radius calls and stuff. And I believe the event's in December. So, different.
Okay. A lot. This is again talking about the canceled and added talent, a lot of which was never even made public.
I can't think of one that was never made public.
Okay. In the last week specifically, he admitted that he hadn't talked to one previously announced talent in nearly 3 months and that they wouldn't be in attendance in November.
Okay. The end of August, I spoke to JBL last, right? Mind you, now, Bruce, you follow up on wrestling stuff. You see a lot of wrestling stuff on the internet, right?
Absolutely.
JBL has been in AAA, TNA, the Fox News outlets. He has been doing all kinds of stuff. I think he's still a little bit involved with WWE. He's got his podcast with Daryl Briscoe. He does something with Sportskeeda. I was told the other day. He's a busy man. He is hard to get a hold of, and he's even doing something with the MLW, I believe. So, I hadn't spoken. I told Captain because he wanted to see how everything was with everything, right? And I said I haven't spoken to JBL in so long, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up canceling out because he's got like 20 obligations out there already. Where Booker T, I was supposed to have him in Minnesota this upcoming Saturday, and unfortunately he canceled out because WWE has a contract with WWE. When you have a contract with somebody, like I'm sure JBL has with either AAA or MLW or one of them, TNA, at one point, they might say, let's do a taping or let's do this or let's do that on November the 16th, the date of that event. And no fault of my own, JBL might not be able to attend. So I informed him of that.
Okay. He then states that this led to an absolute whirlwind over the last few days. What kind of whirlwind?
Because I called, when I was on the phone with him, I asked him, I said, by the way, Captain, how many tickets you got sold, right? He said, just 100, Dillon. Now, Bruce, you're a wrestling fan, never promoted before, but you'll understand this, right? Because I'm sure you bought tickets for events.
Yeah,
It's bullshit. It's bullshit to claim that there's not been one ticket sold between August and October, especially because we're a month out from the event.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, especially with it getting so close.
Right.
So
This doesn't make sense to me as someone who does promote events. It doesn't make sense to me. I call bullshit.
So he has been permanently banned from nearly a dozen or more conventions, stores across the country, and that now includes the Wrestling Classic. Make no mistake.
Okay. So I have been banned from one event, several events I'm able to go to. I just choose not to. Icons. I haven't done icons since 2018, I believe it was. So I hadn't done that in that long, you know. That's 6 years ago. But my final guess there was Abdullah Butcher. I could be wrong, could be right. I'm not sure 100% on it. I believe that was the last time I did that event. And that was a Royal Rumble weekend when I did it. Then see, big event. We all decided to part ways, specifically because of vendor there, and I have a very touchy personal issue where if he and I are in the same area, you don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to get into what the specific issues are, but there is a vendor that is at that event this time. I'm not going to mention his name. But he and I have a very, very, very personal issue with each other. And if he's listening to this, which I'm sure he probably does, because he probably stalks my stuff, it was for the best that I wasn't in attendance at the big event this time, considering he is bringing some great talent in. Hats off to him for that. He's bringing some phenomenal talent in. I want everybody to support him. I'm sure some people know who I'm talking about. Square Circle Expo I decided not to do because of a talent issue where another vendor was bringing the same talent that I was supposed to have brought in. Simply I booked the talent directly. That guy booked him through an agent. Obviously, the agency took a deposit, so Kurt had no other choice. Kurt Angle had no other choice but to go work for the other promoter. With that in mind, I'm going to do the Royal Rumble weekend event that WrestleCon's doing in Indianapolis, and Kurt will be one of my guests there that weekend. Bringing him to Indianapolis. It was a couple months beforehand, but it's like in this business, it's fucked or be fucked. They fucked with me, so I'm fucking back. That's how this business is. Some people don't like me because guess what? I know what this business is. It's fuck or be fucked. That's how it's been. It's been like that since the beginning of time. You know? Russell Cade. I've spoken to Brian Hawks. Last year I spoke to Tracy Myers, cleared the air with Tracy Myers over an issue he and I had. Brian Hawks and I spoke, and he told me that he invited me to be part of their 2025 edition of their event. So, who knows? Big Time Collectibles might be part of the 2025 edition of WrestleCade, and that would be wonderful. WrestleCon, I'm at every WrestleCon. I work quite regularly with High Spots to present WrestleCon. I'm really good friends with Michael Pachicchio, who is a promoter of WrestleCon and the owner of High Spots. I'm not banned from my event. Legends of the Ring don't operate anymore. I'm trying to think of all these events they do.
So, Dillon,
Wrestle Show New Jersey. I'm banned from Wrestle Show New Jersey because the guy is a joke. Actually not banned from all the promoters there, and the promoters have had an issue with that vendor. And the issue with that vendor is he's did some personal attacks to Michael Pachicchio, mentioning Michael Pachicchio's wife that passed away and everything. So I'm not going to do a person's event if they're going to attack my friend, guy that I look to as a brother. You know, if they're attacking that man's wife, I'm not going to go and do that person's event that's attacking, you know, where they can get a rub off me. Russell Bash that's presented by the Asylum. I was there before. I don't know if I'll be there next time. But I've not been banned from it. Only event I've been banned from is in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was because of a very personal issue that some people know about, not everybody knows about. Not because of what I'll say this, David Krieger goes out there and says he's banned because of me. No, I'm not, David. You don't know the story. I was banned by that promoter for a very personal issue. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It was very personal. And that's that. But out of all of them, that man had the right to ban me from his event. So, Captain, your event's not really a fan fest. You draw 60 people. It's more like a stop and go, I guess. A real fan fest, like the one in Charlotte, different, So, that's life. Only banned from one convention, Stores. I'm banned from Zombie Hideout, so cool. The issue with Springfield, the reason why Kurt Angle was pulled from the September meet and greet was the same reason that Bill has pulled Mick Foley twice. The same issue because he hasn't brought Henry Winkler yet, I believe. Unfortunately, there's no money in Springfield, Massachusetts, or if there is, the people aren't willing to spend it on talent. So, blame me if you want, but I'm not going to go and bring a $10,000 guy into an event with the purpose of losing the money, because very little pre-sale means very little attention to when we actually do the meet and greet.
So, well, we're just about through this response, and the end is make no mistake, the decision for Dillon not to be involved was solely made by the team at TWC. The only thing,
Bill. Well, so for the last little bit, we've talked on this thing. We've talked, right? I've told you every time I contacted about every time I contacted that guy, right? Bruce.
Yep.
Who do you think made the decision?
I'm going to say you did.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it to begin with.
Why would you go into a losing prospect?
Right.
I mean, that makes no sense.
And honestly, I was a fool for telling him, all right, sure, I'll do it just to get him to go away. Because honestly, here's the thing about the business. Sometimes it kills to be a nice guy. I was just trying to be a nice guy and get him to leave me alone. But honestly, he ended up not leaving me alone, and it's caused this much grief and strife.
So, well, listen, let's let that go, and because I know you have some other stuff you want to talk about on the other side of the commercial break. And what are we going to call it? Something about how to promote wrestling 101? So sounds good. Well, let's take a quick break, and we come back. We'll get into that subject. We'll be right back, guys.